ॐ वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभ निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ॐ श्री परमात्मने नमः।
ॐ श्री परमात्मने नमः।
अथ द्वितीयोऽध्यायः।
अथ द्वितीयोऽध्यायः।
श्रीभगवानुवाच
श्रीभगवानुवाच
श्लोक नंबर 17। अविनाशी तु तद्विद्धि
अविनाशि तु तद्विधि
येन सर्वमिदं ततम्
येन सर्वमिदं ततं
विनाशमव्ययस्यास्य
विनाशमव्ययस्यास्य
न कश्चित् कर्तुमर्हति।
न कश्चित् कर्तुमर्हति।
अन्तवन्त इमे देहाः
अन्धवन्त इमे देहाः
नित्यस्योक्ताः शरीरिणः
नित्यस्योक्ता शरीरिणः
अनाशिनो प्रमेयस्य
अनाशिनो प्रमेयस्य
तस्माद्युध्यस्व भारत।
तस्माद्युध्यस्व भारत।
We are seeing this shloka number 18, commentary to that shloka. That anashino aprameyasya. So here Swamiji explains Shankara Bhashyam. Parichedaka, Parichedya, those words which are used by Bhashyakara, Swamiji used. Parichedaka, Parichedya, and Paricheda. So Atma, it is not available for any pramanam. So Jnanam, knowledge requires jnata, pramata. Pramanam requires pramata. So jnanam, any jnanam, jnanam, jnata, jneyam. Jneyam, the object. Jnata, the knower. Jnanam, the knowledge. Knowledge reveals the object to the knower. Similarly, pramanam reveals the prameyam to the pramata. Is Atma is also one more prameyam. Is it something which is not known to be known? Is it something to be established by a pramana? No. Because Atma cannot proved by any pramanam. Then what will happen? Pramanam will become satyam. Pramanam will become satyam. Pramanam has got utility as long as the object of knowledge is not known. Shastram is a pramanam for not gaining new knowledge of Atma. Atma is Swatah Siddhaha, already Siddhaha, Siddha Vishayatvat. Then how can Shastra be a pramanam? Shastra is a pramanam for removing the wrong knowledge, only removing the error. So Shastra has got the utility of removing the adhyasa, removing the error, ajnanam. Ajnana nivritti is around jnanam. So therefore, Atma is not established by a pramana. That's what the next topic. If the Atma cannot be known even by Shabda, then why then do you study the Gita Shastra? This is something discussed in Panchadashi elaborately under the Mananam. Nayayika, there, Tarkikara, asked, Atma cannot be known by Shabda. They argue. If Atma is known by Shabda, then Atma becomes one more object, as any other word reveals an object. So, Shastra Shabda also reveal an object, reveal Atma. So, Atma also becomes one more object. If Atma is one more object, then it is not Advayam, it is Dvaitam, Dvaita Atma. If it is Dvaitam, then world is Satyam. World is also Satyam, Atma is also Satyam. So all this problem will come in. So if Atma cannot be known even by Shabda, why then you study the Gita Shastra? Atma cannot known even by Shastra. It is said where the Upanishad, Yatho vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha vachaha, manas, word and the mind return back without able to reach Atma. But Shastram is a Shabda Pramanam. That is why Shastram as Shabda Pramanam, not to establish Atma, is to remove Ajnanam. Ajnana Nivritti is Jnanam. So, if Atma cannot be known even by Shabda, then why do you study Gita Shastra? If it is not an object of knowledge for the Pratyakshadi Pramana, how can Vedanta be a Pramana for the Atma? Pratyakshadi Pramana means Pratyaksha, Anumana, all the Pramana, all the six Pramana, including Vedanta. Now, how can Vedanta be a Pramana for the Atma? Addressing this question, Shankaracharya first says that Atma is not known by any Pramana, including the Veda, because it is not an object of knowledge. Important point to be noted. Thinking that Atma could be known through this Pramana, a person goes to a Guru, does a lot of service. At the end of it, the Guru says Atma is not known even through the Veda. Since the Guru teaches only the Veda, what is the use of all this? Naturally, such a person thinks it has all been a waste. He or she also thinks that the Atma is understood perhaps through the Pratiksha, the Pramanas. Shankaracharya refuted this notion here by saying that Atma is not known by Pratiksha, the Pramanas, including the Veda. Before you listen to the Vedanta Shastra, Atma must be there. The existence of Atma is not established by a Pramana like Veda, nor can it be established by perception, Pratyaksha, or inference, Anumana. If the existence of Atma were to be established by any of the Pramanas, resulting in such knowledge as here is a pot, here is a table, here is a Swamiji sitting, etc., then we would be using perception, of course. Then we would not be establishing the Atma behind the perception. Only when the knower is already established can there be an inquiry through a Pramana. Vedanta Vichara, inquiry, can only be done when there is an Atma to inquire. If Vedanta were to establish the Atma, it would mean that until one inquired into the Vedanta, Atma did not exist. This means we were not there. Who is it then? That goes to Vedanta, which says Atma is limitless. Moreover, who listened to this Vedanta? The Atma. Therefore, the one who wants to know anything is the same one who can use any of the Pramanas to inquire into what it is to be known. All the Pramanas gets validity because of Atma. Atma is there, therefore Pramanas are operated. If Atma to be known by a Pramana, it is not possible. That is what is said here. Even before the Pramanas are pressed into service for gathering such knowledge, Pratyakshadi, there must be a self-evident Atma. Therefore, the Veda doesn't establish the Atma as it does any other existing thing, even Swarga, for instance. A Swarga that is unknown to me is made known to me by the Shastram. Only to Shastram, Swarga can be known. The Shastram, being a Pramana, says, I come to know of something called Punya that is said to be dormant in the karma, which can be invoked through the Shastra alone. Thus, we find these unknown things discussed in the Shastra as potentially existent things. Similarly, there are many unknown things in the world which we come to know through the various Pramanas. A new disease, for example. Having come to know about it, we say the disease is. After discovering it, we look for its cause. Then after finding the cause, we say the cause is, and the treatment for the cause is. After treatment, we say the side effects are. Like this, with the help of Pramanas, we keep on discovering things that exist, but which were so far not known. Although Atma is not available as an object of knowledge, it is not totally unknown. In fact, Shankaracharya says that Atma is not something unknown to anyone. It is always self-evident, swatasiddhaha, self-established. No one's Atma is unknown. Everyone's Atma is known. Only then is the operation of pramanas possible. Therefore, the Atma is not established by a pramana, need not be established because it is swatasiddhaha, self-evident. Then what is the role of Shastram as a pramanam? That is said, discussed. Then the problem would be, what about the Shastram? If I already know the Atma, how can Vedanta Shastra be a pramana? Here Shankaracharya says that the Shastra is definitely a pramana. How? Revealing the existence of Atma is not what establishes the Shastra as a pramana, but the Shastra as a status of a pramana because it removes the wrong notions I have about Atma. Atma by nature is Param Brahma, and that Param Brahma is not known to us. The pramanas available to us are only good for knowing things other than ourselves. This Atma is already Swatasiddha, and it is this Swatasiddha Atma that is mistaken for a Jiva, a doer, Karta, enjoyer, Bhokta, who is happy one moment and sad the next moment, Sukhi Dukhi. That I am a Jiva, an individual, means that I am someone who is limited, as good as the body, etc. This is the natural conclusion of every Jiva because of avidya, ignorance. The status of being a Jiva, Jivatvam, has been superimposed upon Atma, Adhyaropa. In other words, the seeking person is born of avidya. This is an error of self-identity, which only the Shastra can resolve. One's own pramanas are of no use here. Pratyakshadi pramana are of no use. To remove the error, what we need is the Shastram. Therefore, the Shastra doesn't prove the existence of the Atma. It only removes the confusion. Therefore, it is a Pramanam. For this reason, it has a status of being a Pramanam. It has the Pramanatvam. It doesn't bring to a recognition the Atma as an object that is totally unknown, as it does for other unknown things like heaven, for instance. When the Shastra says there is a heaven, Swarga, heaven as an unknown thing is brought to your understanding. You understand that there is such a thing as heaven. When the Shastra says that this particular ritual will produce this particular result, it is definitely bringing an unknown thing to your recognition. That this ritual has this efficacy is not known to you by any other pramana. Therefore, the Shastram has a status of being a pramana by bringing to your recognition something that is totally unknown to you and that cannot be known by you through any other pramanam. When it comes to the Atma, the Shastram as a pramanatvam only insofar as it removes all the superimpositions upon the Atma. Knowledge is nothing but the removal of ignorance. It cannot be a superimposition upon ignorance. If ignorance is not removed, there is no knowledge at all. Ignorance being opposed to knowledge. Jnana Virodhi. Only the removal of ignorance is necessary. Ignorance of Atma is present, and Shastra has a capacity to remove it, meaning that it removes all the confusion centered on Atma. But Atma is self-evident. That is why there is confusion. The Atma is self-evident, but that is limitless is not known. Hence, all the limitations of the body, mind, etc. are superimposed upon it. Atma is already known, Satasiddhaha, Banam, but not as an object. If Atma were to be totally unknown, like heaven, you would not say that you are a Sukhi or a Dukhi or a Samsari. To say I am finished is possible only because you have concluded that you are a Samsari. Therefore, the Atma I is already self-existent. However, it is taken for something other than what it is. And the Shastra makes a necessary correction, thereby proving itself to be a Pramanam. So in that way, Shastra is different from other Pramana. Shankaracharya quotes the Shastra saying that this Brahmatma is self-evident, aparoksha. That which is self-evident is the Atma, Brahma. Everything else becomes evident to the self. In this shloka, Bhagavan Krishna says that all the bodies are subject to destruction. Ime degaha antavantaha. Whereas Atma, the indweller of the body, is not subject to destruction because it is a subject, not an object. Aprameya. Prameya means the object of knowledge. It is aprameya, not an object. This is the point here. Any object is subject to destruction, whereas Atma not being an object, it is nitya, nitya syukta sharirinaha. Anything aprameya is nitya, and only one thing is aprameya. It's Svata Siddha Atma. Therefore, Atma is not subject to time and therefore not subject to destruction. And Krishna concluded by saying, therefore, fight Arjuna, Tasmad Yudhyasva Bharata. What does this mean? There is nothing for you to be sad about. Things that die, die. Things that are dying, die. Things that remain permanent, remain permanent. If Arjuna wanted to destroy Bhishma's Atma, he cannot. And he wanted to stop Bhishma's body from dying, that also he could not. He cannot. Either way, Arjuna could not do anything. Therefore, what is to be done? It is to be done. That is the meaning of Vidyasva. Kartavyam Kuru. Shankaracharya says here that Krishna was not giving an Arjuna an order to fight. That is not the point here. Meaning here was, don't entertain the idea of withdrawing from this battlefield. What is the difference between this statement and in order to fight? There is a difference. Shankaracharya says, this was not a command that one should actually fight. If it was not a command, then what was it? Was it a request? No. Arjuna was already prepared to fight. He had come with his entire armory, but then found himself obstructed by sorrow and delusion. He was shoka moha pratibadha. That is why he became silent. He could not proceed because he was completely paralyzed psychologically and emotionally for various reasons. Therefore, he was no longer interested in fighting and turned his attention to something else. All that Bhagavan was doing here was removing the sorrow and delusion that were the obstruction, pratibandhas. Afterwards, if the fighting was to be done, then it was to be done. Therefore, Yudhyasva was not a command. It was only asking Arjuna to do what is to be done. It was only a restatement of what he was planning to do. Bhagavan doesn't ask people to fight each other. The Gita Shastra, Shankaracharya states, it's not a Pravritti Shastra like Karma Kanda, which enjoins people to perform various rituals and actions. It is a Nivritti Shastra, Moksha Shastra. To have asked Arjuna to fight would have been a Pravritti Shastra, whereas Nivritti here is the removal of the cause of samsara, sorrow, and delusion, which is ignorance. Removing the obstacles to knowledge. The Gita Shastra is meant to remove the ignorance, which is the cause for samsara, consisting of shoka and moha. This should be understood well. It was sorrow and delusion that clouded Arjuna's mind, and for that alone the Gita Shastra was given by the Lord. Therefore, Krishna was not asking Arjuna to fight. Arjuna was already fighting. He was simply saying that Arjuna should do what was to be done. In other words, he was saying, don't give these kinds of arguments in order not to fight. Suppose someone were to say, I will not take care of my child because it takes so much time to take care of a child. It consumes too much time of my personal life. I want to pursue Atma. And to take care of this child will take 17 years, perhaps longer. I cannot wait for moksha. If such a person were to go to Krishna and Krishna happened to teach the Gita, he or she would be told, take care of your child. Or if a man were to tell Krishna that he wanted to get rid of his wife so that he could become a sannyasi, or that he wanted to become a sannyasi, in order to get rid of her, you would be told not to use sannyasa for this purpose. There are smaller solutions available. And if this man thinks that by getting rid of his wife, he will become a sannyasi, Krishna would say, I'm sorry, such an idea is quite useless. It will not work. You had better take care of your wife. Arjuna had been talking to Krishna and they happened to be in the battlefield. Therefore, the expressions like fight and get up are only contextual. Krishna was not interested in a battle as such. He was only interested in dharma. He was not interested in engaging anyone in a fight. We should not think the Gita says that I should fight. Therefore, I'm going to fight it out. This is not what was said here. That the situation may amount to a fight is one thing, but removing sorrow is the real issue. There are some points in the Gita like this one that are important to understand well, because there are areas where people often misunderstand the intended meaning. Further, Bhagavan Krishna says 19th shloka that we will see in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದः.